one of the new trend that is being set in the companies is documenting solutions and not products. And in this presentation, we are going to look at all these things. This presentation covers two aspects. One is understanding the business. That is what Ajit in the first presentation talked about. And I am fortunate enough to be a part of that particular aspect. Okay. So my main focus will be to make you understand is how the business are run and what is the importance if you are a part of that particular discussion. Second part talks about all the guidelines. So you can be a writer, you can be a manager, you can be an organization, all these things. But we focus more on this part and we have some case studies to study about. So a question to you, what is the solution? Something that solves a problem.
Something that complements the question.
Complements question.
Something that is no more a problem.
Okay. Technical writer.
Something that addresses a requirement.
Right. Think from you have been employed in an organization as a technical writer. What would be a solution there? What would you be documenting for as a solution?
Probably not just a product, but all the components that it requires to work end to end.
Okay.
Probably you, for example, you got a phone, and so you require some servers to work with, some connections, some application information for that, so that you can actually
So,
use the phone.
one important point what he said and one important point what she said, a requirement should be there. And he said something end to end. Okay. So in simplistic terms, a solution is nothing, it's a combination of products or services or both put together. For what? The organization offers to their client and the requirement and the client requires that. That is very important. So from perspective of an organization, the organization creates a solution to cater to the needs of a client. The main differentiation between a product and solution is product is not created to cater to a requirement of a specific client. It is created firsthand and then you go on searching for markets. Whereas when you talk about a solution, somebody has a requirement and the company provides that particular solution. Okay, a simple quiz. As a documentation or a technical writers, we always search for the company, right? Service-based company, product-based company. So identify the product-based companies.
Semantic, Cisco, Siemens, Avaya.
What about Sybase, Persistence?
No, they are services.
Why do you say they are services companies?
Because they provide services to other companies.
You don't have products.
Okay.
Strictly speaking, all of them are product companies.
Okay.
Because all even the services are a kind of product. If you look at it technically.
A new thought. Right.
Yeah. So from a marketing perspective, if you look at it, each solution is also a product that you're selling to somebody else.
How many of you are from Persistent? Anybody from Persistent?
X.
What do you document?
Products for other companies.
Are the products being manufactured by your company in Persistent?
Some solutions.
Some solutions. Okay. So even when you talk about services company, and if you relate it with the earlier definition, what we're talking about, it's a combination of products or services put together. So I never worked with Persistent, but I know that they provide a solution, a turnkey solution to the client, saying, "Oh, we'll develop your product, we'll test that, we'll document that." It's a solution. That's what they are trying to provide to the client. And if you see the quiz was identify the product companies. Over the last 5 years, if you ask the CEOs of this company or the top management, none of them will agree that these companies are product companies. These companies have already moved away from products to solutions. No company goes on selling individual products to our clients. I'm from Avaya. Last 5 years, companies 80% of the market was products. Today, 60% of the company's market is solutions. 40% is in networking. Nobody says it's a product-based company anymore. We have moved away from being product-based company to a solution-oriented company. So let's understand the requirement and why do business need to move to a solution-oriented approach. Initially we discussed that there are two things if you have to run a business successfully. First, there should be a requirement from a client, and second is we as a company or organization should be able to fulfill that. And now this is something very interesting. Whenever we talk about solution, we are always think that, oh, it's something new thing that is coming up. So you have to start from scratch. It's not. If you say there's a product-centric approach which has always been there from the company has been creating products after products for a number of years. They sell number of more products, customers reach, it is increasing continuously. The market share increase of the company. So you have already built the base for your solutions. So you do not start from scratch. What happens is you start a customer-centric approach where you are not targeting more and more customers. You are approaching the same customers and trying to fulfill their minute requirements, or it can be a turnkey solutions. So the first thing is you already have a base in the market. Second thing is you are leveraging upon that base to increase your market share by providing solutions to the existing customers. And here's an example of 3 companies, different companies. So you can see product-centric model. It's a T4. It's a infrastructure development company in US. We said, oh, we get the solution, we implement that, we move out, finished. In the second, we have got Amazon or Tesco, or even our own Flipkart. You can see the customer-centricness that company had developed. Okay, so the pyramid is inverted here completely. Whereas Facebook, it works on user requirements. What is Facebook? Right. So what is the main aspect of that? What do people actually do on that?
People just want
Interacting with each other and communicating.
Dumb. Nothing else. It is basic human requirement. They are leveraged upon that, and each and every feature they are trying to come up with is for you to share the things. Instead of saying dumping, we said sharing the things. But it's actually dumping each and everything available. I like this thing, I dump it here. It's nothing. But they have understood this, okay, and that's the reason they are successful. Why organizations are moving from product to customer support? From being a product centric to customer centric or solution oriented. One of the main reasons for that thing is companies have started understanding from the last depression in 2005 onwards. Okay, product selling has become less, and as Rajiv had talked earlier, whatever trends are being followed for people, for users, the same thing has been faced by companies. So what is happening actually? Companies don't want to purchase products. They want a solution. They are coming up with innovative ideas, but they want solutions that will cater only to their requirements. Might be another customer doesn't require that thing. Okay. And for all those things, what you can see is to be more customer centric, a company has to invest in that solution. Move from product centric approach, and definitely once you have implemented that particular thing for a customer, you know you can move up the value chain by learning the same thing and apply it for multiple customers. Of course, it has a business impact, and your ROI is much more. Your ROI is much more when you're working with the same customer, satisfying multiple requirements. you save a lot on your marketing efforts, your selling efforts, so your ROI increases at that particular level. So let's look at a case study. So I'm Abhijit. I work with ICICI Bank. My manager tells me one day, oh, a certain XYZ company has opened up. It's an IT company. They have called you for a presentation. I go to that company. I meet the finance guy of that company. That person says to me, oh, let me give you a presentation of a company's future. That person explains to me the company is a startup with 500 employees. They have got a VC funding. And they have got a vision for the next 5 years. From employee strength of 500, they are moving to employee strength of 5,000 over the next 5 years. And our requirement is, can your bank provide us by opening accounts for all these employees? I said yes, why not? So now it's my turn. I'll give you a presentation of what services or solutions our bank offers. I give them a presentation. I start with saying, when you're talking about 5,000 employees in the next 5 years, with the attrition rate in the IT industry, because you belong to the IT industry, it's about 20 to 30%. So it will not be 5,000, the churnout will be more than 5,000. So take into consideration 7,000. We are geared up for that thing. So these are the finances of our bank. Apart from these things, you are asking us to open only salary accounts, but apart from that thing, these are other services that our bank can offer. Because when you are talking about IT industry, most of the requirement comes from home loans, car loans, personal loans. So our bank is geared up to provide you all these different types of solutions. I have sold the case. My bank gets the deal done. So this is called a pull mechanism. The requirement from that person was only, can you open salary accounts of so many employees? But I have pulled the bill. Whereas, let's take another example. Again, I am Abhijit. I am a marketing representative from a company which has got 5 products, which caters to the need of a contact center. Everybody knows the difference between a call center and a contact center. Call center is just where inbound calls are allowed. Contact center is something where outbound calls plus chatting, Skyping, so a lot of other modes are also available. So I am being called there to present my case. I go there, the customer says, oh, we want to open a contact center of 200 seats. Tell me, how can you help me in that? I said, oh, we have got 5 products. So this is, the first product is a switch, which you can use for most of the aspect of inbound and outbound calling. Second is something analytics report. So you can use it for generating report. Third is for voice dialer. Okay. So I explained to him all about the 5. The client said, I'm not interested in any of this. We already have 5 centers, 5 contact centers in India. We want to open a 6th one in Pune. But we are hard-fetched of cash. What is our requirement is, we just want a ready-made contact center. Can you provide us that? I said no. The customer said, oh, this is something the customer requests. It's complicated. I talked about 5 products my company owns. My company is not into services or solutions. I talk about only 5 products. If you look into this, there are 40 to 50 different types of products the company is required. And that person gives me an example. Now, I'm not marketing for this company, Genesys, okay? But what is that they are trying to say? Sign up for 30 days. When you actually sign up, a screen will come. How many seats you need? What are the roles you want to specify? They have got the entire contact center set up in cloud. The customer is telling me, I don't need to invest anything. No hardware, no softwares, no infrastructure, nothing. I just give my requirement 200 sets. And these are my roles for the users. That's it. Entire thing is managed by them. Plus I am billed as per usage. That's it. So I cannot get the deal done. Because my organization is not into solutions. My organization is still in selling products. This is called a push mechanism. Somebody is pushing me, trying to tell me, give me an opportunity. So this is somebody is pushing me. The earlier was on the pull mechanism. Now the second part, what are the documentation we talk about when we're talking about solutions? There are basically two different types of documentation we should be talking about. The first is the business documents. Those are very important. Those document talks about the exact business requirement of the client. If you do not know the exact business requirement of the client, then you cannot write your documentation properly. One of the reasons for that thing is, take for example, a customer has called you to create or to prepare a software, a billing software. Now everybody knows what a billing software does. So when I meet a customer, I say, okay, you need a billing software, I'll create it for you. I go back, I tell my team, their requirement is a billing software. So take all the generic requirements from the net or whatever up till now we are done, create a billing software. But the crucial part in this was not taken into consideration. The customer was already having a billing software. The business requirement was, which the customer was not able to tell us clearly is, though the customer is using the billing software, why is the need to have a second billing software? It means the customer is not satisfied with the existing billing software. That is a business requirement. That becomes a business case to create a solution for the customer. So that is something as a BA, business analyst, I should be taking care of. So PRDs, SRATs, architecture overviews and all this thing, this needs to be created along with the customer, because the customer also have to invest a lot of things in this, and these are the main business documents. The company had to invest heavily when they are implementing the first solution, but the same solution afterwards can be taken to other customers. And of course, you have a text solution documents. Here what we are writing, we are documenting, right? The most crucial part in implementing solutions is the deployment part. Because we are not talking about deploying a single product. We are talking about deploying 20 products, 30 products as a solutions. And to an extent, many times, my company does not provide all the products. My company ties up with number of other companies to get the solution done. So it becomes more and more important that the deployment guides get most weightage. Of course, we have got other things, overview, administrating solutions and all these things, which might not look very important when you're implementing it for the first time, but overview becomes a part of the marketing collateral when they try to sell the same solution to different companies. Simple PPT explaining the difference between a product and solution. So for individual products, we create a product documentation for end-to-end solution. So when you're talking about 20 products or 20 components coming into picture, we are documenting for 20 different products. Efforts are planned. Solution documentation includes unplanned efforts. One of the main reasons for that thing is, in a company when things come up, so this is something related to what Ajit was discussing, business decisions. How are business decisions taken? So somebody comes, so we need certain things. From a company's perspective, it becomes a solution. Oh, we already have got 20 products ready, right? Why not fit them all together and sell it? So each product had got at least 1 year's life cycle for a new version. So 20 products, 20 life cycles. But for a solution, when we talk about, or the architects talk about 20 products coming together, in 3 months we can deliver. Because it's a multi-millionaire deal. So in 3 months we can deliver the solution. And that is the reason unplanned efforts are too much on this thing. Scope is known. The scope keeps on increasing when you are talking about solution. When you talk about solution, many components, when actually implemented, are discovered that they do not talk with each other. And there is no solution for that thing. So scope of the solution keeps on increasing. We follow rules of SDLC and DDLC, but when you talk about solution, it actually starts after SDLC is completed. The reason for that thing, we do not deal with developers, we do not deal with testing or QA teams. We deal with services team which implement the solution directly. Work with R&D and SV, that is the next point. So work within the organization, work with internal and external teams. So when we talk about a solution, as I said, it can be a collaboration with other companies. So we have to keep on our communication open with the documentation team of those companies, and many of the time those people don't share the information. And limited reuse of content, because when you talk about a product, if it's a new version, most of it is being carried forward. We just change the features. Here, depends on the products of the company. So when you're talking 20 products, the information or documentation is already ready. So 80% of that thing we are reusing. So Raju was saying collaborative efforts. But here the efforts are already been done. And we are just reusing the content again and again. And for a solution documentation, you got something more, involves third-party documentation, collaborate with writers from other companies, and extensive use of content. The most critical thing is involving third-party documentation. For example, my solution is based on a database of Oracle. Do I document or do I refer to the help? It's a tricky question. For a customer who want an end-to-end thing documentation, it's why we should go to Oracle site. Why we should be documenting, or why you should be referring to Oracle documentation, because you are the people who are selling us a solution. So it's a tricky question and has to be taken care of as per the organization. So a lot of brainstorming has to go in when you are talking about the solution documentation.
I have something to add. So you talked about third-party documentation. What we at we do is we also have third-party documents to mention in our talks. So most of the times we ask them to refer to the particular document, the third-party documents. And why we don't talk about that in our documents is one of the reasons, like we document it now. Maybe it's a procedure-based one. I document it now. After some time, the third-party product has changed, or some steps have changed. The UI has changed. So they will update their documents. But it will become a maintenance issue for us. So we have to keep on tracking those changes. So for that, we do not have that kind of time, and even if we have the time, we would not want to invest in.
Right.
So it is better to, give some brief overview of it, and it is better to refer to the third-party document.
Right. So I'll also add two scenarios to this thing. But my understanding is it has to be taken on case-to-case basis, because what the solution requires. Okay. Take the same case of Oracle. In one of our projects, there are a number of bugs of Oracles that we are discovering. Now it has become mandatory that we need to document all these things under known issues. And we have taken a decision consciously that we are going to refer to Oracle help or Oracle sites wherever they are maintaining. For the same thing, they might change the content. We do not know. So let the customer go there. But in another solution, the customer is saying why we should be referring to other parties. You are selling the thing to us as a solution. You are responsible for documentation, and you know American companies, without documentation, they don't accept the product or solution. So it has to be taken in case-to-case basis as to what needs to be done.
I agree. So in solution-based documentation, you say there are unplanned efforts.
Yes.
So unplanned efforts means most of the time chances for delay. I know how it is being handled. The companies are using solutions-based documentation, so they might have some plan for handling this. You might not be able to meet the milestones. There are chances that you might not be able to.
Yes. So, but as I said, the business decisions are taken at a very high level, and it is just taken on basis of the amount that is the customer is ready to pay. So decision, it doesn't fit into our DDLC or SDLC, or we follow the Agile or Scrum and say, oh, this, slowly we'll come on to that thing. We start with the understanding, all my products are ready, why can't we just give it together? Why can't I just jumble or combine all my products together and sell it to a customer as a solution? Okay. Now their understanding is, if the documentation is also ready for each individual product, just give them individual documentation. But that's not our approach, right? As a technical writer, it's of no use selling or providing a customer documentation of 2000 pages for 20 products. We want to give them the exact thing what is being used. And that's the reason we try to create a new documentation set for them. And we just provide them the minimum basic requirement for the system to be up, the minimum basic configuration to be taken care of, and the flow of information through all the components.
So you're saying it will differ from maybe even customer to customer?
Yes.
I suppose we, at a higher level, that option can be given to that customer, whether they want customized documentation of this sort, or they are happy with us providing, maybe links to the third-party documents.
Right.
That
Now,
would be an option.
the thing is, when we're talking about such documentation, even our internal users are extensively using our own documentation. And there are, of course, company, corporate politics and all these things. When we're talking about third-party documentation and all these things, services do not rely on the other parties. Because, as I said in the Ajit's presentation, it's related to the service level agreement, SLA, that they have sent the customer for every query they have to pay so many dollars. That is the reason they want to be the master of that entire content, because they are getting paid for that. It might be a simple trick, because when you are selling a turnkey solution, and most of them are doing it remotely, but 1 hour it might earn them in hundreds. So there are n number of other things that also come into the picture, and though not talked about, has to be considered. So basically, as a technical writer, we have to think what is in the best interest of the customer, and we have to create a documentation based on that.
So the customers are already investing so much equity, like the content is already available, you have to just leverage and create whatever this new documentation, but still it's an investment, right?
Yes, definitely it's an
So
investment.
they are okay with that kind of investment.
Customers are ready to pay for that, because they also have taken a business decision, right? For example, if Flipkart says, oh, Flipkart can sense, down the line Amazon is coming. Everybody knows Amazon is coming to India. It's only a matter of decision to be taken in the parliament when they say open for foreign companies to sell their own goods. Today Amazon.in is not selling their own goods. It's just a matter of time. So Flipkart is gearing for that thing. Yesterday Flipkart launched their first tab, their own made tab. So they're entering into product now. Earlier they were into services. So business decisions are taken at a very high level, and the reason for that thing is many of the time we do not understand why they are taking that thing. And challenges when you talk about in solutions. So based on assumptions, this is something very important and tricky that you have to understand. As I said, the architects think 20 products of my company are ready. Why can't I sell that as a solution? But down to the ground, out of the 25 components or 5 products do not have any configuration which will allow them to talk with each other. So mostly many of the things are based on assumptions, and they keep on learning once they actually start deploying things. Then availability of required documents, there are no requirement documents. We have got only high level business documents. So business document talks about, in theory, how our solution will cater to the requirement of the clients. We are used to see very technical notes specific to our product, but here the requirement documents are not that. And these documents keeps on changing. If the customer today say, oh, I just want to create something for one center, tomorrow they might come saying, oh, we want to create for a second center also. So it keeps on changing as per that. Interoperability of components. In the last slide we saw that solution documentation is based on products. So when you talk about products, each product has got their own life cycle, their own versions. So something is taken into consideration as a base. Oh, all these products, these versions are supposed to be used. But what about, as she said, a solution delivery moves further and a new release comes in between. Now, can we take that or can we live without that? Because that provides some more functionality. But then, is that interoperability with the other components? So now that also has been tested. So n number of issues in that front also. Too many stakeholders. Normally, who are our stakeholders for a product documentation? Dev,
Product management.
product house, product manager, testing, 3, 4 into 20 products. How many stakeholders? We have to pull in everybody because we are not knowledgeable of each and every product. Plus, as said earlier, we are not working with the testing teams, we are not working with the development team. So we are directly working with the services team.
And the client too.
Client. Solution is always evolving. Newer and newer requirement because the customer also sees that, oh, this solution is working, why not do this thing? The customer initially agrees to a multi-million dollar deal, but then pushes more and more things. Why can't it be done in this only? Moving from comfort zone, that is something we have to do. We are used to work in a life cycle. If it's agile, at least some commitment comes. Oh, we have to commit every day. I have to do these things. In a solution, you have to attend core team meetings. You have to be part of the business discussions. So it's not that easy. You cannot sit just and say, oh, my cycle is for 3 months. I'll keep on working for 3 months. No, you cannot do that thing. You have to work intelligently. So basically, I mean that you have to move out of your comfort zone. Availability of resources. If you are saying so many issues and we are saying we want people like this thing, if the resources are really available in the company, we have to think about that thing. Or can each and every writer work in a solution documentation in that tight frame? Second thing to be considered is when architects say that all the documentation is ready, you have to just reuse. The management asks a question, why you need full-time writers for a solution? Do you really require? So, a case has to be built for that. Of course, if you really want to become, you have to learn. You have to move out of your product. For example, in most product-based companies, a writer is assigned to a product, keeps on working on the same product for a number of years. You have to move out of that and try to learn more and more things. So you have to learn, and there are actually, instead of playing with the products, there are many video tutorials and all these things available in the company's university for all the products. If you can just go through that also, at least an overview of the entire products, you can get to it. Yeah.
So how does the solution-oriented approach affects the personas and the use cases? The products might have a different persona or different types of use cases. When you look at a solution, it kind of changes.
It changes a lot.
So then how do you percolate a solution level use case for a person that you might adapt?
See, the thing is, whenever a company thinks about creating a product, definitely at a higher level they have created a use case for that thing. Similarly for a solution, and we talked about a solution that the company is already using our products, okay? And we are moving ahead with the same company to use multiple of our products as a solution. So use case has to be taken care of at that particular level based on the business requirement of the client, what requirement is going to fulfill. At that particular time also we have to talk about user personas also. Who are the roles, responsibility, so any number of things has to be taken care of at higher level also. That comes in the first step of documentation, which mostly the architects and they will be taking care of, is the business documents. Yeah, how did it reach here? Okay. So, and in guidelines, so we are talking about that thing, plan. Even we as a writer has to actually undergo a thorough user analysis. If it's a small company, it becomes very easy to visit a client. In bigger companies, you are not a part of that, or maybe you are not a part of that country where actually the implementation is going to. And many times the implementation or deployment is kept completely secret. It's remote. And conduct information analysis. Of course, as I said, you are going to reuse a heavy content. So you have to do a thorough analysis of the information that should go and form a part of your documentation. Do I need to document, do I need to reuse all the 2000 pages of each product? Or what is exactly the solution requires for? Your blueprint should be ready beforehand you start a documentation. as I said, the timeline is very, very squeezy. So when you say 3 months for a solution to be deployed on existing products, you don't have time to go back saying, oh, whatever the things I have done is not proper, let me go back. You don't have that choice. It's better to document your entire process, because as I said, you do not document a single document here. You create nearly a library, and neither you are the only person who is going to work on solution. There are multiple writers or a team of writers who is going to be a part of the solution team. So documenting the process helps each and every person to understand what their roles are there, what are they supposed to do, and what processes they are supposed to follow. And acquire a high-level overview of the solution, and only an architect who has designed the entire solution can give you this thing. But my experience is, keep them focused. They have got a lot of fancy ideas. So instead of explaining the solution, most of the time they move ahead of that and try to tell you much more which is not a part of the solution. Second, in working, get your templates approved. That is very important. And many of the times, if your company is into solution documents, your templates tells you, oh, this part you are missing. So if port matrix is not a part of your documentation, which is very important when you are talking about so many components, okay, then the template tells you, oh, you are missed on this thing. So it helps you a lot. If not, you should create templates, get it approved, and use it for all the writers. Reuse maximum content, whatever, because the thing, as I said, I do not know what 20 components do individually. I'm assuming they have followed their particular processes in documenting those things. So the writer responsible for that creating a particular documentation has undergone the entire company's process, done technical reviews, done editorial reviews, everything is in place, and I'm just going to reuse that content. Because when you merge information or topic from so many products, you start understanding the discrepancies in the entire documentation. Work on information organization. So more than documenting the thing, information organization is very, very important. You need to focus on what will be the first steps that the user will be doing. What is the first thing? For example, for such a huge solution, prerequisites chapter will be bigger. Because they need to have all things in hand before they start on working. They cannot go back and say, oh, this thing has not been done. Configuration chapter is going to be bigger because that is specific to the customer. And maybe that is not something covered by other product documentation. And that is something you have to actually interact with the services, extract the information, and document those particular things. Collaborate and coordinate, because as I say, it's teamwork.
I'm exactly in the middle of this thing right now. Like, I have a product, I have to collaborate with where the solution is being deployed, and the information, like I'm working on the information organization right now, whereas I have to extract the information from nearly 600 emails communication that is done.
Next thing is user tracking mechanism. You need a tracking mechanism. As you said, once you are a part of solution, you are a part of the 20 products. Anything and everything that happens to that particular products, you are subscribed to that automatically. Any email exchange that is happening there, it comes to your mailbox. You do not know where to begin, you do not know what to do. Though you are not supposed to change anything, you do not know what to do. Ensure a proper tracking mechanism whereby you raise a work item or EMA or something that way, so things get tracked properly. Okay, and communicate this thing at the very beginning. Most of these high-level people at senior management, they don't use any of these tools. They just send an email. And their email is, your documentation is not to the quality. We don't know what that means. Though we have followed all the processes in the company, they are not specific. Okay? So use a tracking mechanism. Define and conduct reviews. Reviews is very important, and more than editorial reviews and all these things, which I assume the respective product technical writers have already done. Technical reviews are very, very important. But understand the same thing, squeeze into 3 months time, no technical person has time for you. It's better not to set up a toolkit review or something, that kind of thing. Instead of that, a tabletop review helps you a lot in 2 to 3 hours. Talk to them, get them on the same page and get a sign off that thing.
So who are all involved in this type of issues?
There are different. Try to get all the departments that are involved in the solution.
But is it possible of within that time frame getting all these people?
So, this is for writers. That is a part of the manual to do that. So I'm coming to that. So we cannot satisfy each and every requirement.
Because we are directly working with the services, I mean,
I know.
people who are serving clients.
But services are
We
not only
involved
people.
in development here.
There is no development.
Yeah. So who will get involved
But
in
product,
these
each product house can be a part of this. For when we are saying 20 products, so respective product manager of each team can be called for the review, because they are the people who might tell you, oh, this is not proper for their product.
Yeah.
Even the services might not be able to tell you on that particular front.
I mean, all the stakeholders were.
All the stakeholders, believe me, in my company, in core team meetings, it is taken into consideration from which department people has provided the review. From very high level, mails go to them if they are not a part of this. They have to spend time on documentation.
You get good, I mean, you've got
That,
good
yes. Yes. Coming to a need. So, as I said, I don't know 20 products. I cannot test. It's not a UI related documentation. So not all things can be tested. So there are going to be a lot of gaps. So it has to be understood and explained beforehand. As the solution become permanent in the customer side, as and when the services get something, they come back to us, we keep on documenting and improving the documentation for troubleshooting. Because scenarios might differ for the customers. And delivery, a document library is better because we are talking about multiple documentation. We are not talking about only one guide. Okay? Multiple documentation, so we are saying overview, administering, deployment, using, so it caters to the requirement of all. Take into consideration the example of the service center, the contact center, what we talked about. Okay, a company hosts a service center, that is fine, the products belong to a company, but a company that just leasing them out to a hosting service provider. So who is the user here? Hosting service provider. Now the hosting service provider is selling it again to the enterprises. Now who is the user? The enterprise is also the user. And the enterprise is again selling it to small retailers. So there can be 3-level, 4-tier architecture when you are talking about hosting services or cloud. Create a central repository of solution documents. We are talking about 2 types of documentation. One is business documentation and second is technical documentation. So all are required to give a complete holistic approach to the solution. Anybody can require any document. So we should not be restricting ourselves only hosting the technical documentation. And of course, all stakeholders should be kept informed of documentation. In a very nutshell, the manager's responsibilities, they have to build a case study, case for solution documentation. As I said, management is going to say, oh, we cannot give 5 writers for this. Case has to be built. Okay? Advantages, the manager can say, oh, okay, this is the solution being implemented for the first time. Next time it goes to the other customers. So whatever expenses will be incurred on those now can be utilized. I think this is going to be shared. Multiple BUs. Some companies have writer assigned to different BUs. And we are talking about products from different BUs. So the manager has to take into consideration how the communication between different BUs will happen. Handle challenges in project planning. 3 months, but it's a tough. Coordinate across internal, external teams. So for example, Oracle or some third-party tools. It might be smaller, but we want a documentation. So the manager has to coordinate for all this. Reviews. He has to stick to that reviews are being taken care of. And of course, resourcing. Very important. And for organizations, if they want to move from product to solutions, they have to always change the thinking. They cannot work in the same way they are working as of now. Remember our second case study. So what, as a marketing representative, told the customer we cannot deliver, it is not only my thinking, it has come from the organization to me, that our organization cannot sell you solution. Consider changing processes to suit the solutions, use of CMS. Even in bigger companies still, though we say or we claim that we have moved to data, still there are products which are in FrameMaker, some of them are still Word. You cannot reuse the content. The content is available, but it cannot be reused. Or what most? You have to manually convert it back to data. So the estimate is much more. The expenses are much more. A review system, as I said, is very important. And of course, organization has to think about finances and budgets when you're talking about taking a review system, CMS and all these things, plus against what vision they have got of selling that solution for the next n number of years. So they need a break even somewhere. So that's on solution documentation. More questions?
Any suggestion for tracking?
Tracking, so as I said, you can have a CPU, basically a technological solution. So people raise work items against for each and every, even A has to be changed to B, a work item is being raised because that is being tracked.
I know that I